You might look like you've got it all together. High standards, attention to detail, always trying to do things right. But inside, there is a constant pressure, fear of making mistakes, and never quite feeling good enough. Perfectionism does not create success. It often creates anxiety, exhaustion, and self criticism. Hi, I'm Cheryl, and I own Your Time to Shine Therapy. I'm a therapist who works with people struggling with anxiety, perfectionism, and burnout. So, if you've ever felt like nothing you do is ever quite good enough, struggled to relax unless everything is done perfectly, being hard on yourself even when others see you as successful, then I want you to know that you are not alone, not even by a long shot. In this video, I am going to explain why perfectionism creates anxiety, what happens underneath that, and how therapy helps you break free from the constant pressure. By the end, you'll understand why being too good can actually hurt your mental health. Perfectionism isn't just having high standards. It's often driven by a really deeper fear than that. And it could be the fear of failure. It could be the fear of judgment. It could be the fear of not being enough. It could be the fear of you always being told when you were little that, you weren't good enough. So instead of feeling motivated, perfectionism creates a constant internal pressure. Again, we'll come back to the pressure cooker. You might find yourself doing things like reworking things repeatedly, delaying tasks until they feel perfect, feeling anxious even after you've completed something. You feel anxious about it, you don't want to put it out there. Because what happens is the goal keeps moving, keep shifting the goal. And there is never a point where your mind will say, this is it, this is enough. Perfectionism keeps your nervous system in a constant state of alert because your brain is always scanning. It scans all the time. And what it's looking for is mistakes. Because to your brain, mistakes can be dangerous. It's looking for risks because it needs to know what's going on. So it'll look for the risks. It's also looking for what could go wrong, so it'll keep scanning for anything that could go wrong. And that even means looking back at your past to see what's happened if there's a similar scenario. So even when things are going well, your mind might be saying, don't relax yet, something still isn't right. And what happens in this, in this moment, it creates chronic tension. It creates chronic overthinking. And it also creates difficulty having a rest or switching off because you keep going back to it. And you'll keep saying, well, I'll just do this bit more tweaking. And over time, that becomes really exhausting because there's never a true finish line. You never really get to the end of it. And that is completely exhausting. It's like you constantly running the marathon, and just as you get into the finish line, you say to yourself, I didn't do that properly, so I'm going to go back to the beginning. And you keep running it and running it and running it. One of the damaging parts of perfection is self-criticism. And we're all guilty of that. We all do that. And, even I do it. And even like small mistakes can trigger these thought patterns. So it can trigger thoughts that are like, I should have done that better. And it'll create things like, why did I do that? Why didn't I do it this way? And then it'll say things to you like, other people wouldn't mess up like this. And again, this creates a loop. And you know that I always talk about the loops that we get ourselves into. So we have a high standard, we then have a pressure, we then have a perceived failure, we then have self-criticism, we then have more pressure, and the loop starts again. So instead of building confidence, perfectionism slowly erodes it. It's a bit like the sea hitting a wall. Eventually, it will start to crumble. And the more you try to fix yourself, the more critical the inner voice becomes. And that inner voice will keep nagging at you and getting at you and telling you that you are not doing it right and you're making a mistake and you need to do it again. In therapy, we don't try to remove your standards. We change your relationship with them. Because we all need to have standards, and standards are not a bad thing, but it's when that becomes toxic. So what this might include is things like understanding where your perfectionism comes from. Identifying the fears behind the need to get everything right. We learn how to tolerate good enough without having the anxiety attached to it. We also look at reducing self-criticism and increasing self-compassion, because that's one of the things that we don't do very often. We don't give ourselves enough compassion. As these shifts start to take place, clients often notice less anxiety when doing a task. They notice that they are more flexible and feel more at ease when they're doing a task. They also have better focus and better productivity. And they notice a quieter, less critical inner voice. And that inner voice will be a certain person. Mine's always my mum, but yours could be different people. It might be your mum, might be your dad, might be a teacher, whatever it might be. What clients often say is, I didn't realise how much pressure I was living under until I lifted that pressure up. If this resonated with you today, then I want you to notice where perfectionism comes up for you. What would good enough look like right now? Not perfect, just enough. If you want support breaking free from perfectionism and anxiety, I work with clients on a one-to-one basis. And what we do in our sessions is we reduce self-criticism. We look at ways of calming the nervous system. We break perfectionism cycles. We build confidence and emotional balance. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos on anxiety, perfectionism and mental health strategies that actually work. And in the comments, let me know, where does perfectionism show up most in your life? Is it in your work? Is it in your relationships? Or is it just with yourself? I do read every comment and I will give you tips on how to get past this or how to deal with it. I'll just say to make yourself feel a bit better. Thank you for watching. I shall see you all again soon. Bye for now.